And our next speaker is a body language expert. He's someone who has traveled the world to teach his clients that come from as simple a place as being students all the way to royalty. And he's also been on the major news channels talking about his body language analysis of world leaders like Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome with a warm, warm round of applause, Mr. Christian Chua.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. And what actually happened was this. When I was invited to Israel, thanks to Avi, he opened some doors and I gave an analysis of the 4 Prime Minister candidates, which I'm going to show you later, before the election. On the way back at the business class lounge, I was sitting there and 4 American family of 4 ladies sat with me and they said, "So, what's your name?" I said, "I'm Christian. What do you do for a living?" And if I wanted to be alone and have my own chill time, I say, "Oh, I'm in personal development." But if I wanted to have a conversation, I say, "I read faces." Okay, because when you say I read faces, they say, "What do you mean?" I say, "I can read your face, I can tell you your personality." "Really? Read me." Isn't it? That always happens. So the 2 younger ladies, about 18 years old, they say, "Read me." Then I look at her and say, Are you good in maths and science?" And she looked at her sister. "Oh my God, we are both majors in maths and science." And she said, "Read mommy." So I read her mother and I said, this. And she said, "Yeah, okay, accurate." And I said, "Ma'am, I see a little scar, not a scar, but a wrinkle around the side of your cheek. Did you go through some kind of trauma? Did you lose a pet, a family member, anyone?" And she said, "Nope. Nope." I said, "But it shows on your face. There's something that you saw that shocked your system. Did you see a death?" Nope. And the daughter, Mommy, you saw Uncle Johnny hang himself right in front of your eyes, didn't you?" Yeah. Okay, so it opened a lot of conversation, and then they asked my name, because you got to come to my university, you got to do this, you can do that. So it opened up conversation. And of course, the other one is for party. If you want to be the life of the party. And that's what happens. I go to networking session and then they say, "What do you do for a living?" And I say, "Okay, party time." And I say, I read faces. Everybody from all the other tables will crowd around and I'll read the face all night long. Okay, so what do these lines tell you? I'm going to explain all these lines, and it's going to be very interesting. So the first thing that you want to learn is that there's your faces can be divided into 2. Your left side is your personal side. Your left side is your personal side, and your right side is your professional side. "You mean we're not symmetrical?" "No, you're not." And I know you guys are dying to take out your cell phones and say, "What do I look like?" So anyway, so what happened was I was in Dubai giving a talk like this to 120 nationalities, and one girl waited for 45 minutes for her turn to be read her face, and she was from Belgium, by the way. And what I saw was on her personal side, her left eye was tilted down, while her right eye was straight. If you both are tilted down, it could be something genetic, but it's one eye was tilted down and the other eye was straight. And when your eye is tilted down, it actually means that it's a trauma and you're very negative about relationships, things like that. So the first question I asked her is, "Are you married?" And she said, "No." So I said, "My guess is either you have gone through very nasty relationships and you're a bit weary about going into a relationship, or you have a very bad you have relationship problems with your family." And she looked at me. And I never saw her for the rest of the 2 days of the convention. Okay. So what I did was spend many hours creating the average face. From the Adobe Photoshop, I took average nose size, average ear size, average everything average. So that when I start flashing the others, you all can compare. Okay? So this lady looks like the Angelina Jolie look. What's the most significant, outstanding feature on her face? Lips, okay? Are you ready? Thick lips, they are more chatty. So the thicker lips are more chatty. So if you want to go for a networking, you look for the thicker lips ones. It's a fact, okay? The higher the eyebrow from the eyes, are more friendly people. And it's not the opposite. That means those with very low eyebrow are unfriendly. No, they are more intense. You understand the difference? Huh? Body language is the opposite. This one means unfriendly or defensive. This one means welcoming. Body language is the opposite. Face reading is not the opposite. But the strong nose are independent people, which means you want those people in leadership. They can travel on their own. They're not so worried about leaving their family while they go out there and close big deals. So you want a stronger character. It is the strong nose. When I went to Israel, of course, one of the highlights was the nose. Huh? One of the highlights was see the nose. I've noticed that most of the Israeli girls have actually very strong noses. Very strong noses. And why? Because they are conscripted in the army. Right? And they carry weapons. And they need a tough character because they're told that they have to defend the country. Sometimes they have to lay down their lives. And that's what goes into their brains, and then they have a stronger nose. When you see the Vietnamese in the 1940s, 1950s, when they're under oppression, they look really different from the Vietnamese these days. Because now that the country is turned around and the economy and it's full of hope, they look better. See this guy, can you immediately see that he's very much more intense and maybe possibly more aggressive than the Asian girl? Okay, so what else do you see is actually the wing eyebrow. The curved eyebrow is the most friendly. The wing eyebrow can be combative, even for a girl. Okay? Combative, which means you can argue. And I hate to point anyone out because I don't really know all of you, but anyone who wants to, later I can give you a private reading. Now, on your left, in case you don't know who is President Nathan, that's Mahathir, Prime Minister of Malaysia, and this is the Chinese president. So all of them has this squarish leadership head. Do you see that? Okay, so I can point out if you want to who the leaders in this room. Now, the other thing I want to share with you right now, as you can see, in one glance, do you think President Nathan is have a happier life or Prime Minister Mahathir? Nathan, right? Now, let me explain to you why and how you get that impression. It's the eyelids. Okay? First of all, if you have, like his eyelids is considered massive, quite massive. He's a very affectionate person. So he cares for his family, and on his career side, if he's a CEO, he actually cares for the people too. Those without eyelids like Xi Jinping doesn't mean don't care. I must reiterate again. It's not the opposite. Because people always jump there, so you mean I don't care, you mean I'm not loving. No, this means focus. Okay, they are more focused, left brain, less affectionate. If you're married, are you married? You and your husband, you give each other space, or you give your husband space in a sense that he doesn't need to keep reporting to you. Today, what time, where I am, you don't need to. Okay? Not clingy. So if you marry someone with massive eyelids, she's very affectionate and she requires you to be affectionate too. Right? Yeah, so where are you? What is that long hair I see in the car today? You do that? He takes a photo in the hotel and you screen in and you make sure no ladies' shoes. Right on! So, oh no.
He thinks he has no hope because of the eyelids.
No. As for myself and my wife, we both do not have eyelids, and we are focused in our work, but we are not over clingy. You realize he doesn't have very strong helix, the thing that separates between this part and this part. It's almost like that. Okay? Very left brain. Although he has a creative side, he thinks less emotionally involved whenever possible. Is that correct? This is what I predict if he became Prime Minister, which he didn't. he would try things out of the box, because that's what people, you saw RV's video just now on all the space, the scientists, they all had round head, only the announcer had a square head. Okay, they were really using their brains and they're spinning it. So this guy will try something different. Okay, now the problem is here. He has low-hanging buck tooth, which is a sign of stubbornness. And the gap in between, I know some of you think it's orthodontics. No, if you put braces, it will come back again until his character change. It means that he is stubborn and he will bash through things and he will not listen to you. Once his mind is set up, he will bash things through, and he might be right or he might be wrong, but he wants to prove to himself. So he will have a very limited flexibility. Okay, he will be quite rigid. Now, because I got 5 more minutes, this is what I'm going to send to you right now. So what are you going to look for when I draw this line across the eyebrow? If your ears is above that line, you're considered high ears. Eyebrow, you draw a line across. If your ears is above, it's high ears. If it's not, normal. And if I draw a line below the nose across, and your ears is hanging below that line, it's low ears. Can you understand? Okay. High ears takes in information fast. Low ears process information slow. Those with the low eyebrow, so if you don't mind me saying, you are like that, fast, take fast, respond fast. Right? Don't waste my time, no fluff. Right? That's it. Okay, so that's how you read people. When I meet someone like him, less fluff, more content. Okay, or he might get bored. So, okay, so you want a more compliant person in your organization, hire one with the ears sticking in, not sticking flat against the face. If you want someone that's going to think out of the box, creative, Mazatov, Shuspa, RV type sticking out, those are going to be in the business development, the creative side, the creative juices. Get this one, okay? They will not comply. So when I meet this type of people, I say, you wouldn't drive against the flow of traffic, right? No, you're crazy! Have you driven against the flow of traffic? He said, yeah, of course, all the time in the car park, they go against the flow of traffic.
I found it fascinating. The science and what he was able to relay about people from their faces was just fascinating.
I thought it was really actually very interesting. I mean, he's got a really dynamic personality, extremely confident, very positive, and of course it's really funny as well.
I like to find a person who can actually easy to communicate with and not get stuck with a boring conversation or a person that doesn't really communicate much. So having that skill to be able to identify the person that you can actually open up and speak to, I think that's a great skill to be able to have.
And he mentioned this thing about ears. So high ears, low ears. So if high ears, and he singled me out to say, it looks like I have high ears, says you respond quite quickly. So therefore, if you're dealing with somebody with that high ears, then you probably want to be quicker and faster. Somebody low ears might take a little bit longer.
I think for me, because it was really intriguing, I'd like to go and find a little bit more about it, maybe join one of his workshops to be able to use that information and see how we can use it in a practical, everyday, interaction with people.